On the 17th of December at around 11, the members of the Drug Enforcement Division were informed that 2 female persons on their way to South Africa. The information further revealed that they are hitchhiking via using the Trans-Kalahari Highway, and they were spotted at a restaurant in Klein Windhoek. So our drug enforcement unit responded to the suspicious individuals. They initially interrogated them and finally took them into their offices, where they searched their luggage. In one of the luggage, they found 10 kilogram, 260 grams of white-looking powder. In the second suitcase, they found attached to in the second suitcase the other subject of false buttons, and I don't know whether I will call it buttons or what do we call these things? Thread reels, you know, where you, yeah, big ones for probably industrial, you know, manufacturing. So, upon further inquiry, they discovered that, and I'll show you the picture. They discovered that these were not real threads, although the packaging showed that it was threads on top, and even labeled that this is mainly threads. Even if you scan it through the machine, you just think it's just thread and clothing. But when you take the threads out, below the threads there is a tape, and below that tape, that's where you find small sachets of, like the money bags, with whitish powder that is wrapped into there. And these are now the empty. You can imagine that our officers have to go through, you know, thick and thin to unwrap and put these powders in the plastic as they were. The original packaging is all thread reels that you are seeing there. So the 2 suspects are females, and the age are ranging, one is 26-year-old, she's a national of Zimbabwe, and the second one is a 38-year-old South African national, both females.
If we look at ephedrine, ephedrine heralds a new method or a new approach in terms of the illicit substances and the way they manifest themselves in our market. Now, ephedrine originally comes from plant material, the plant genus called Ephedra, but it's subsequently manufactured synthetically, and it's been used in all kinds of cold medicines, decongestants, it's a stimulant, all those kinds of, so it's used in a multiple variety of medicines. The biggest concern, of course, it is also the precursor of many of the illicit or the prohibited substances. Now, that is of major concern to us, seemingly so that, on the one hand, when found with it, you would obviously then be in possession of a precursor but not the ultimate product. But at the same time, the seriousness of the possession of this substance should never be underestimated, simply because you are one short step away from the other amphetamine analogs. And that means ecstasy and all the street names that you've included, tick and all those things that has found their way into our region. So it's a short step away in terms of manufacturing these substances. Now, unfortunately, when we look at pharmaceuticals and the way it's presented to us in medicines, that requires a lot of sophistication in the sense that it has to be done in a controlled pharmaceutical manufacturing environment. But the illicit substances that you are referring to, the ecstasies and that, it's relatively simple and easy for a layperson in possession of the ephedrine, as we discussed, to ultimately manufacture these illicit substances with relative ease and with fairly low cost. It'll be possible for the amphetamine or the ecstasies and all those to be manufactured. So from that perspective, I think we should regard this find in a very serious light and as an imminent threat to our society.
The route of the 2 suspects, but there was a departure from South Africa to India, from India to Nairobi, Kenya, from Nairobi to Lusaka, from Lusaka to Windhoek, and then they were now rerouting to take ground transport to South Africa. So whether now the delivery, the Meia route is usually Brazil, Now, whether there was another mule from Brazil to India and they only collected it from India, or whether it was already delivered in India, is difficult to say at this point. Maybe the investigation will reveal it at a later stage.